Welcome to the 19th election in American history. It was held on Tuesday, November 6, 1860, and America was at a breaking point. Incumbent 15th President James Buchanan was extremely unpopular and hated by almost everyone, and things would only get worse after the Dred Scott case, a major Supreme Court case. Scott, a former slave living in a free state, sued for his freedom in one of the worst decisions ever by the Supreme Court and by infamous Chief Justice Roger B. Taney in the Dred Scott decision. The Supreme Court ruled slaves and descendants of slaves could not be American citizens, meaning they did not have the rights to sue in court. This outraged the North, seeing this as a sign that the South was trying to poison the entire nation. Meanwhile, the Great Debate of 1858 occurred in the Illinois Senate race between Abraham Lincoln and incumbent Democrat Stephen A. Douglas. These debates, in one of the first times in American history, were publicized nationwide. Even though Lincoln would narrowly lose the Senate race, it would propel his political career off the charts. At the same time, Bleeding Kansas was happening, but things had calmed down. But on the other side of the country in Virginia, John Brown's raid was about to occur. Famous abolitionist John Brown had a plan, and he wanted to start an armed slave revolt to finally put slavery in the past. The revolt was not successful, and following the commands of Robert E. Lee, John Brown was sentenced to death and was hanged, with John Wilkes Booth in the audience as a witness. This would outrage the North and make Brown famous for his bravery and sacrifice. For the election, the Democrats held their convention in South Carolina, with the main nominee for president being Stephen A. Douglas, a staunch popular sovereignty politician. At first, Alabama Senator Benjamin Fitzpatrick was nominated, but he rejected the nomination, and Douglas chose Georgia Governor Herschel V. Johnson as his running mate. The Northern Democrats nominated this ticket, emphasis on the northern part, since the Southern Democrats revolted, having their own convention in Maryland, since they saw Douglas as too much of a moderate. And the Southern Democrats' nominee for president was Vice President John C. Breckinridge, a staunch Southerner, while Joe Lane, a senator from the new state of Oregon, became his running mate. The Southern Democrats were extremely pro-slavery, with many wanting to even reopen the Atlantic slave trade in the South, and for slavery to be legal for as long as possible. There was also the Constitutional Union Party, who held their convention in Maryland. Their nominees for president were John Bell, former Speaker and Senator from Tennessee, and Sam Houston himself, the famous Texas Revolution hero and governor of that state. While for Vice President, Edward Everett, former Secretary of State, became the nominee by the party. Bell won the nomination alongside Everett. The party had support in the border states from people who did not want to secede from the Union, and at last the National Republican Convention was held in Chicago. In one of the most important conventions in the party's history, the frontrunner at the start for president was William Seward, senator from New York. There was also Abraham Lincoln, famous former congressman from Illinois. While for vice president, the main nominee was experienced Maine Senator Hannibal Hamlin. In the end, Lincoln and Hamlin won the nomination. Lincoln won because he was pretty moderate compared to others, and due to the fact that people like Ohio Governor Salmon P. Chase, alongside former Representative Edward Bates and Pennsylvania Senator Simon Cameron, all of them threw their delegate support to Lincoln. The 1860 election had high stakes, unlike no other election seen yet by that time. Most candidates promised to keep the Union or make things better, even though by this point it was certainly too late. And the winner was Abraham Lincoln won, becoming the 16th president in American history. Lincoln won with 180 electoral votes, winning 39.8% of the vote, and Hannibal Hamlin became the 15th vice president in American history. But sadly, not long after, these southern states would start to secede after hearing of Lincoln's win. The Southern Democrats and Breckinridge got 72 electoral votes, 18.1% of the vote. The Constitutional Union Party and Bell won 39 electoral votes, 12.6% of the popular vote. And finally, Northern Democrats and Douglas won 12 electoral votes, 29.5% of the vote. This election saw extremely high turnout, with sectionalism being the key voting factor for many people. Lincoln won in a landslide against Douglas in the North, while Breckinridge took the Deep South by storm. In the Senate, the Republicans won, winning 29 out of the 53 seats. Their power would increase after the South's secession. For the House, the Republicans won, winning 107 seats, 15 over the threshold. Grow would soon become the 24th Speaker of the House, Galusha, a Northern Republican from Pennsylvania. Lincoln took his oath of office on Monday, March 4, 1861, in the Capitol. America was about to go through one of its most violent times in its history. By March 1861, the states had begun to rebel and forming the Confederate States of America. The Civil War was now on the horizon and inevitable, and thus the 19th election in American history came to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video.